My name is Lily Evers. I'm 38, and tonight I'm standing in 3-inch heels watching 100 people toast to a wedding I didn't plan, didn't believe in, and, unbeknownst to me, accidentally funded. The ballroom sparkled. Crystal chandeliers, white roses, a jazz quartet playing something insufferably romantic. Everything looked perfect, expensive, rehearsed, like Vivian wanted. I was in lavender chiffon, holding a champagne flute I hadn't sipped from. Makeup perfect. Smile fake. Across the floor, Vivian Shaw, my mother-in-law, raised her glass like a queen blessing her court. Reed, her golden son, my new husband, leaned over her shoulder, laughing too hard. Too free. His hand never reached for mine. Something was off. I stepped away from the circle of guests and pulled out my phone. Just a glance. Just to check. Bank app. Face ID blinked green. Balance $0. My thumb froze mid-scroll. I blinked. Hit refresh. Still 0. No, I whispered. No. 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 A new notification popped up beneath the numbers. Transfer complete. $79,450 to Evergreen Event Design, LLC. Initiated 7:42 p.m. Authorized by Lily Evers. I didn't touch a damn thing. Footsteps. Perfume. Champagne bubbles. Vivian was beside me, serene, sipping. Lovely evening, isn't it? She said, not looking at me. I turned the screen toward her. Did you do this? She smiled without teeth. Sweetheart, don't start drama. Not tonight. You stole from me. Her eyes slid to mine. Technically, we're family. What's yours is ours. I almost dropped the glass. My fingers twitched. You had my login, I breathed. That's how. Don't be paranoid. You used it to help plan the wedding. You must have clicked something. But no worries. You'll get it back. The air was thick. My skin felt electric. She added calmly, You always said Reed's happiness matters most. You meant that, didn't you? And then she walked off, smiling at a guest, taking a selfie with Reed's college roommate, like nothing had happened. That's when I knew this wasn't a wedding. It was a heist. I pushed past the crowd, heart pounding. Music blurred. People laughed. My head buzzed. I found Reed by the bar. His tie loose. Drink full. You knew, I said. He blinked. What? She took my money. Transferred it to pay for tonight. You knew. Lily, his voice was too slow. It was for us. For the family. She said you'd approve it later. I stared. He didn't even flinch. I'd rather sleep on dirt than owe her my soul. He shrugged, looked over my shoulder. Let's not do this here, okay? I walked away, out of the ballroom, down the hallway lined with floral garlands and overpriced decor, past the wedding cake I hadn't tasted, past the smiles, past the future I was supposed to be celebrating. My phone buzzed again. New message, Vivian. Let's meet tomorrow. You'll bring the property papers. My lungs tightened. I stared at the text until the words blurred. She wasn't done. Not even close. I stepped out into the night air. Heels cracking on stone. Moonlight bouncing off car hoods. Somewhere inside, Reed was giving a speech about forever. And I was already plotting my escape. I didn't just pay for her wedding. I just funded my own destruction. I woke to the sound of the doorbell. 3 short rings. Sharp. Precise. Sunlight sliced across the floor, catching shards of a broken champagne glass I'd dropped in the sink. My dress from last night still hung over the chair, its hem soaked in spilled wine. My head pulsed like something had crawled inside and screamed through the night. I pulled the front door open. A courier, navy jacket, clipboard in hand. Delivery for Lily Evers. I signed without speaking. He handed over a thick manila envelope, sealed in red tape. Legal markings across the front. Shaw and Blair Property Holdings. My stomach clenched. Inside, A letter from Vivian's lawyer. A request. No, a demand. Please prepare the full deed documentation for transfer of ownership of Evers Ranch. As agreed. Agreed? I nearly dropped the papers. The ranch wasn't some guest house. It was my father's land, passed to me before he died. 76 acres in my name, notarized and filed in Summit County. Reed didn't touch it, neither did she. Until now. I grabbed my phone, scrolled to Vivian's message again. You'll bring the property papers. I heard Reed's voice behind me. Is that from Mom? I didn't answer. He stepped into the room like nothing happened. Same hoodie, same fake casual, a trace of cologne I didn't buy for him. I need you to explain something, I said, holding the envelope out. He blinked. It's just consolidation. Makes it easier to manage the estate. Consolidation. My voice cracked. That land is mine. He scratched the back of his neck, like rehearsing sympathy. Vivian said you'd be reasonable. It's just paperwork. No, I snapped. You didn't just steal my savings. Now you're coming for my family's name. A pause. Then he said it. Flat. Final. You're not even a real Evers anymore. That was the first time I saw him for what he was. Not confused. Not trapped. Complicit. He walked away. Cut scene. I drove to my lawyer's office. Avery Lynn. Smart. Sharp. 29. Harvard educated with a chip on her shoulder and an ankle holster under her skirt. She skimmed the documents with a highlighter, clicking her tongue. This wasn't just a request. It's a formal filing. If you don't respond in 30 days, they'll move to claim by proxy. That's not legal. It is if you appear to have agreed or signed. I didn't. Avery looked up. Then who did? We flipped to the signature page. There it was. Lily Evers. My handwriting. My signature. Except I never signed that form. Forged. I couldn't breathe. They faked my signature. Maybe, Avery said. Or maybe you signed something in a wedding folder you didn't read. Embedded clause. They do that now. My pulse pounded in my ears. My fingers curled. The world doesn't get stolen by criminals, I muttered. It gets stolen by people who smile and bring wine to dinner. Avery opened her laptop, pulled up Summit County's online deed registry, searched Evers Ranch. Her face changed. It's already pending subdivision. Filed under Shaw Holdings, LLC. I grabbed the edge of her desk. They're selling it. Looks like it. Silence. Then, I can block the sale temporarily, she said, but it won't last if they've got forged consent. Then we expose the forgery. It's not that simple. She was wrong. It had to be. I left her office with a copy of the deed. The sky outside was overcast, like the world was trying to decide if it wanted to burn or drown. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Blocked caller ID. I answered. A voice. Distorted. Low. She's done this before. You're not the first. Click. Line went dead. I froze on the sidewalk. The wind shifted. Something cold crawled under my skin. I looked around. People passed by. Faces blurred. But someone was watching. I could feel it. Back at home, I opened the mailbox. One envelope. No stamp. Inside, a foreclosure notice. Filed. Active. And I'd never seen it. They were coming from every angle. Bank. Property. Reputation. Reed hadn't just stood by. He handed them the knife. I gripped the edge of the mailbox, the metal sharp against my palm. They wanted my silence. But I had something else. If she wants war, I'll bring fire. I drove fast. Too fast. Mountain curves blurred past my window, headlights carving into the dark like blades. My phone buzzed twice, Avery. I let it ring. The last thing I needed was more law talk. I needed air, space, and silence that didn't feel like someone was listening on the other end. The forest road narrowed. Pines towered like sentries, casting long shadows in my rearview mirror. I checked it once. A second time. Tail lights. Too close. I slowed. They slowed. I pulled onto the shoulder. They passed. Except there were no plates. No window glance. Just a black SUV disappearing into the bend, like a shadow that knew my name. I sat still for 5 seconds. Then I floored it. The gate to my ranch was cracked open. I never left it that way. I grabbed the flashlight from my glove box, stepped out. Silence. My boots hit gravel. Air sharp as needles. House lights off. Porch light dead. The front door? Open. I moved slow. Flashlight low. Every instinct screaming. Inside, the temperature dropped. Not from the weather. From knowing something had been there. Or someone still was. The kitchen reeked of gasoline. A single glove sat on the island counter. Black. Wet. A fingerprint in the puddle beneath it. No note. No sound. I checked the back window unlatched. Footprints in the mud outside. Too big for me. Too clean for accident. I locked every door. Window. Grabbed my spare Glock from the lockbox beneath the stairs. Loaded. Sat in the dark until dawn. You don't pray for safety when you know you've been marked. You prepare for war. Cut scene. Morning. Avery showed up with coffee and a file folder, fat enough to kill a man. I found something, she said. We sat on my porch. The wood beneath us creaked like a warning. There's a discrepancy in the notary logs, she said. Your signature was witnessed by a man who died last year. I looked up. Vivian used a dead notary. She used his stamp. That's felony forgery. And the title company, paid off or blind. Either way, it's exploitable. Hope flickered. A match in a storm. Freeze the transfer, I said. Avery nodded. Already filing. But Lily, there's more. She opened her laptop, pulled up a court record from 3 years ago. In Re. Shaw versus Gordon Estate. Vivian's previous husband died suddenly. Heart condition. His will. Contested. Then rewritten. Suddenly, all assets shifted from his children to her holding company. You think she did this before? I think you're the first one fighting back. I stared at the screen. His daughter tried to sue. Lost. Disappeared from public record. Moved states. My phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. A whisper this time. Don't trust the man in your bed. Then a hang up. I looked at Avery. You think Reed's in on this? She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Cut scene. Later that night, I opened my email. New message. No subject. No sender. Attached a video file. I pressed play. It was me. At the wedding. But something was wrong. My voice distorted. The video grainy, edited. I agreed to let Vivian handle it, I was saying. I trust her with everything. I never said that. It was a deep fake. Flawless to the untrained eye. Time-stamped. Signed. Filed with the county as proof of consent. I scrolled to the end. Overlay text. Filed with Summit County Clerk's Office, witnessed by R. Shaw. My husband. He signed it. The betrayal wasn't just deep. It was detailed. Planned. My breath caught. I checked the locks again. One was undone. Bedroom window cracked. Footsteps on carpet I hadn't walked. I opened the closet. Nothing. But behind my dresses, tucked into the sidewall, a camera. Small. Wireless. Blinking red. They weren't just following me. They were recording. She burned my money, stole my name. Now she's coming for blood. I didn't sleep. I sat in the hallway, Glock on my lap, watching the blinking red eye of the camera I had just yanked from the wall. I wanted to crush it under my heel. But I didn't. I needed it. Evidence. I needed to stop reacting. It was time to strike. By noon, I was in a parking garage in Denver, 4th level down, license plate covered in dirt. The air reeked of oil and desperation. Avery waited by her black Lexus, laptop bag slung across her chest like a weapon. I traced the metadata on the video, she said, voice low. It was uploaded from an internal server, private VPN, registered to Nolan Shaw's financial firm. Nolan Shaw, Reed's older brother, the clean one, the investor, the ghost. My stomach twisted. He's involved. He's hosting the whole scam. She pulled out a tablet, showing me a flowchart. Shell companies, transfers, false invoices. At the center, Nolan's name, hidden behind a web of LLCs and consulting fees. Vivian is the face, Reed's the pawn, Nolan's the architect. I leaned against the concrete wall, pulse hammering. Avery flipped to another file. I also pulled Reed's phone records. 2 days before the wedding, he called Nolan 7 times. Then right after the money vanished, 4 more calls. You think he knew the exact moment? I think he pushed the button. Something in me fractured. Not snapped. Just split. Like I finally stopped hoping. Cut scene. We broke into Nolan's office that night. Technically not breaking. Avery had a client who used to date his IT guy. Passwords change, but patterns don't. We got in through the freight elevator. 3rd floor. Security cameras looped. The air was cold. Clean. Artificial. You're the kind of dangerous they don't see coming, Avery whispered. That's your edge. We found the internal server. Encrypted. Avery plugged in. We've got minutes. Every second dragged like a scream. Then, click. A folder opened. Invoices marked Lily Evers. Consulting contracts I'd never signed. Bank authorizations forged. Even a psychological profile labeled Risk Management. Subject LE. They did a background check on me? No, Avery said. They built one. I clicked through. It said I had a history of paranoia, anxiety, emotional dysregulation, all fabricated. They're building a case to declare you mentally unfit and take the property under guardianship, I breathed. Avery nodded. They want to erase me. Then she froze. What? I asked. Look at this. She turned the screen. A video file. Grainy. Dated 4 months ago. It was Vivian. At my ranch. In the barn. Holding papers. Just sign it, sweetie, she said to someone off screen. It's for the future. You won't even remember. A male voice. Slurred. Confused. Reed. I don't get it. Just sign. Reed. Drunk. Signing something blindly. They weren't just forging my name. They were forging his drunk, drugged, so he'd take the fall if anything cracked. I stared at the screen. She's sacrificing her own son. Avery whispered, they all are tools to her. We copied everything. Cutscene. Back at my ranch, I found Reed in the kitchen. He was pouring a drink. Something expensive. Calm as ice. I dropped the flash drive on the table. He looked at it, then at me. What's that? Proof. He smiled like nothing mattered. Lily, you're tired. All this. I know what you signed. What she made you sign. He flinched. Barely. But I saw it. You were supposed to protect me, I said. Instead, you handed her the match and watched her burn it all down. She told me you'd be fine. That it was temporary. That you'd get the land back. Temporary theft is still theft. He looked away. His hand trembled. She said if I didn't help, she'd ruin me. Expose the investment fraud. I blinked. What fraud? Reed turned pale. Swallowed hard. She laundered money through my accounts. If I go down, I lose my license. My name. Your name. I laughed. You sold mine. He tried to speak. Couldn't. Then said, there's more. You don't know the whole. A knock at the door. We froze. 3 sharp taps. Then silence. I moved toward it, gun tucked behind my back. Opened the door. No one. just a small box. Inside, a burner phone. It rang. A voice I didn't recognize. Leave the ranch tonight. Or, tomorrow, you won't wake up in it. The conference room smelled of cheap coffee and fear. I watched the door click shut. Reed, Vivian, 2 lawyers. Glass walls, city lights pulsing beyond. Sterile. Sharp. I pressed record on my phone. Hidden beneath the table. Avery sat beside me. She whispered, "This ends tonight." Vivian smiled, like she always did. Knife-sharp kindness. "Lily," she said, voice soft. "I'm glad we could meet. I want peace." I leaned forward, flash drive in hand. "Then let's talk facts." I dropped it on the table. The cold metal echoed in the silence. Invoices, bank statements, the forged deed, the server logs. She froze. Just a flicker, barely noticeable, before her mask returned. Her lawyer frowned. He cleared his throat. "You know, Miss Evers, presenting unverified evidence in lieu of signed consent isn't adequate for a legal claim." I forced calm. "This drive contains everything you filed. The shell company chain, the fake notary, the manipulated assets. It's all there." Vivian sipped her water. "Funny thing," she said, "about memory. It blurs. People misremember. Maybe you signed. Maybe you authorized. Maybe you consented." Her lawyer slid a thick envelope across the table. A restraining order. Filed last night. Against me. Reed didn't look at me. He toyed with his ring. "I just want the drama gone," he said softly. "We're family." I laughed. Low. Ugly. Family doesn't rob each other blind. Vivian's lips twitched. She hit play on her phone. Video flickered on the big screen behind her. Grainy, but clear enough. My face. My voice. "I'm fine with the transfer. I trust Mom to manage the estate." Done. I didn't say that. I watched. Heart pounding. Mouth dry. That video became legal evidence. That forged consent, now stamped by Summit County. Witnessed by Reed. My world cracked. Avery reached under the table, squeezed my hand. "Stay calm," she mouthed. I stood, raised my voice. "You're lying." She paused, smiled, sat back. "Maybe the truth is unstable." She looked at the lawyers. They nodded. Meeting ended. Hands shaken. Glasses touched in forced peace. Cut scene. Outside, we rushed to Avery's car. Street lamps cut deep shadows. Sirens somewhere. But not for us yet. "Did you at least upload the files to the secure server?" I asked. She hesitated. I tried. The upload failed. Someone triggered a kill switch. My gut dropped. Then they have everything. Night swallowed us. We pooled their data on my laptop in her tiny apartment downtown. Papers everywhere. Coffee turning cold. Then a noise. At the window. Soft scratching. Avery froze. I checked the locks. All bolted. But the window shook. Banged. Silence. Then the glass cracked. We ducked. A rock flew through. Shattered plastic. Shards sprayed across the room. On the glass, letters formed. "Shut up." My breath stuck. 2 days later. My home. Broken locks. Security system disabled. Empty walls. Gone. Photos, hard drives. The one notebook I kept since childhood. A single Polaroid taped to the fridge door me. Alone. In my wedding dress. Messy handwriting below. "Smile while you still can." Cut scene. I found Avery's car. Tires slashed. Interior ransacked. Nothing left but shredded papers and a fake FBI badge with my name on it. She hasn't answered since. Voicemail full. Phone rings. Unknown. Caller ID blocked. I don't pick up. I don't need their lies right now. I need air. I grab my coat. Cold wind slices through the Denver night. Street lights flicker. I walk to the ranch. My ranch. The one Vivian tried to steal. The gates open. The barn door stands ajar. A single lantern flickers inside. Golden flame. Quiet. I slip inside. Stacks of paper. Plastic binders. Scrawled notes. Witness statements. Old cases. Lots of women. They were all erased. Until now. I crouch. Fingers tracing faded ink. Footsteps behind me. Slow. Deliberate. I turn. Vivian. Calm. Pale. Smiling. You really think a whistleblower changes anything? She whispers. People don't get erased. They get buried. I stand. She glides closer. You tried to trap me. I swallowed. Heart in my throat. She chuckles. Soft. Dry. Funny how the hunter becomes prey. Then she holds up a photo. Tears. Kids' pictures. My niece. You ever love someone so much you'd burn the world for them? I clenched my fists. Yes. She tossed the photo. Good. Because this time you're the one burning. The lantern drops. Glass cracks. Light vanishes. Silence. Black. And I heard her whisper. She didn't come to steal from me. She came to erase me. The barn went dark. Total blackout. 1 second of flame, gone. The air tightened, hot then cold, like the world inhaled and refused to breathe out again. I stepped back, hands out, searching for the door, for light, for anything. Vivian's voice drifted through the dark. Truth doesn't destroy people, Lily. Fear does. I felt along the wall. Splinters bit my palm. The lantern rolled somewhere. Glass cracking beneath a boot that wasn't mine. My breath sharp. Controlled. You're scared, I said. You finally met someone who won't bow. A soft laugh. Closer now. You were never meant to be an obstacle. Just a placeholder. Cut scene. The barn doors blasted open. Wind, light, chaos. Avery's voice shouting my name. Flashlights everywhere. Vivian hissed like the light burned her. She stepped back into the shadows, hand raised to block the beams. Don't move! Avery shouted, badge lifted. Behind her, county deputies flooded in, boots pounding against the wood. Red-blue sirens spilled color across the night like shattered glass. A deputy grabbed Vivian's arm. She didn't fight. She smiled. Lily, dear, she said calmly, you think this ends with me? I stepped forward. Lantern smoke curled around us, swirling like ghosts with unfinished business. It ends where you fall, I said. They cuffed her, read her rights, led her out as if she were nothing more than a misplaced page in a file, finally corrected. Cut scene. Hours later, the sheriff's office buzzed with noise. Phones ringing. Papers shuffled. Door slamming. Avery handed me a cup of water. I took it with shaking fingers. You good? She asked. No, I said. But I'm standing. She nodded. Sometimes that's all survival requires. I stared at the evidence board. Vivian's name in red, Nolan's in blue. Reed's tagged with accomplice in bold marker. Detectives moved around us. A female officer approached with a folder. We finally accessed the last encrypted files, she said. Vivian didn't just want the land for subdivision. My chest tightened. Then what? She pointed to a geological survey. A map of my ranch, lines drawn in thick green. Mineral rights. Oil exploration potential. Mignon. My voice barely came out. She knew. She's known for years, the officer said. Your father-in-law's will included a confidential clause. She hid it, redirected the filings. If you hadn't fought back, she would have taken everything. Avery muttered, Power doesn't corrupt people. It reveals them. Cut scene. Reed was arrested 2 days later. They found server backups on his home computer, drafts of the deepfake videos, witness tampering logs. His lawyer tried to spin it as coercion, as manipulation by his mother. But the truth? He chose his side long before he chose me. I watched him being led out of the courthouse. He looked small, a shadow of a man who never stood on his own. He tried to catch my eye. I didn't give him the dignity of a glance. Cut scene. Nolan fled the state. They caught him at DIA, boarding a flight under a fake name. When they dragged him out of the boarding tunnel, he didn't fight. He didn't speak. He just stared at his reflection in the terminal window like the world had finally shown him the monster he was. Cut scene. Weeks passed. The land was restored in my name. Full ownership. Undisputed. The court awarded damages. Enough to rebuild everything they tried to break. But I stayed at the ranch. Alone. Letting the quiet stitch me back together. Some wounds don't close with time. They close when you decide you're done bleeding. One night, on the porch, Avery joined me. 2 mugs of hot tea. Colorado stars above us like silver cracks in a dark ceiling. You think you'll ever forgive them? She asked. I shook my head. Forgiveness isn't a gift. It's a grave we dig for the past. Some people don't deserve a burial. She smirked. You always talk like you're narrating a documentary. I shrugged. Pain makes poets of us all. We listened to the wind, the branches, the hush of a world that finally belonged to me again. You know, Avery said softly, your fight wasn't just about land. It was about refusing to disappear. Maybe, I said, or maybe it was about learning the oldest truth. No one can steal what you refuse to surrender. She raised her mug. To surviving. I raised mine. To never going quiet again. Cut scene. A letter arrived the next morning. From Vivian. Handwritten. They tell me I lost, but I didn't. I taught you how to win. I folded the letter. Set it in the fire. Watched the flames devour each line like they were reclaiming the power she held for too long. As the last corner curled into ash, I whispered, You taught me nothing. I saved myself. Because in the end, the story wasn't about theft, or land, or vengeance. It was about a woman who refused to be erased, who learned that survival isn't quiet and justice isn't gentle. She stole my money. She tried to take my name. But now, every acre of this land has my blood in it, and she will spend the rest of her life knowing I won.